Have you ever wondered why we call the Rhythm Cup Explorations 1 and 2 tracks beats, and how we don't call them accompaniment tracks like we call the Rhythm Menagerie tracks or the Manipulations tracks or my first Rhythm Cup Explorations tracks? Well, there's a very real reason. We were very purposeful about what we called what. So the beats that we've had up to now for Rhythm Cup Explorations Book 1 and Book 2 are interesting beats. They've got just a few little motives that have a lot of repetition in them. And then sometimes there's a key change in there to make them just a little more interesting. But they're not really intended to get rhythm inside the student. They were created a long time ago. They were one of the first tracks that I ever created. I was dealing with really primitive tools, and they were designed to just enhance the fun and to help the students stay with the tempo. They were not designed to specifically help the students get the right rhythm. So some of the problems with this is that there were no real melodies. It was just a repetitious sort of beat kind of thing. They were fun. I'm not saying they weren't fun, but there were no real melodies and they lacked really good music composition. I didn't actually compose these. I did some of the ones for Book 2, but the ones in Book 1, I was drawing from motives and things like that were available for me to use. And so I put them together and just sort of did what was in front of me. And they didn't have a lot of great music composition to them. There was no climax or build. There was no feeling of, oh, wow, this is a beautiful piece of music and it's getting more interesting and it's ending in some amazing way. In Rhythm Cup Explorations Book 1 especially, the music cuts off in weird ways. You might have noticed that. There's a lack of variation in a lot of these. A lot of them are just really super contemporary sounding. There was no classical or all kinds of styles I'll talk about in a minute. A lot of them were canned sounds and not really genuine sounding instruments. And then Rhythm Cup Explorations 1 only had one measure of preparatory beat. And sometimes it came so fast after you pressed play that you didn't actually hear the first beat, which is obviously problematic if you're trying to get your students to hear it. And then they just didn't help students be more accurate, like I said. So you probably are guessing what we're going to release today, and that is new Rhythm Cup Explorations actual accompaniment tracks this time. These are beautiful music tracks for every page of Book 1 and Book 2. So now the whole series will actually have beautiful music, just like Rhythm Menagerie and Rhythm Manipulations and my first Rhythm Cup Explorations. So there's 2 measures of prep for every single one of them, and there's even a little bit of silence at the beginning. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but if you use a Bluetooth speaker, sometimes the connection takes just a minute to sort of reconnect. And so you need that silence at the beginning so you don't miss that first beat. It's beautiful music. It's not just beats. Beautiful music all the way through. Lots of different musical styles, not just any certain kind. Improved tempos. So with Rhythm Cup Explorations 1, especially, that was the first book that came out, and I was really energetic then. And all of the tempos were just really fast. And so we kept the fastest tempo because I know that there are a lot of students who really want that challenge and need that challenge. So we kept the fastest tempo, and then we made the middle tempo a little slower. And then we made the slow tempo a little slower. And so we brought down the tempos, and I think it should work much better for students. And they're composed with fantastic melodies, shapes, climaxes throughout it. You'll hear how it's just really gorgeous. And then most have the cup tapping rhythm in one of the voices. So except for the first unit in Rhythm Cup Explorations 1 and maybe a little bit of the second unit, most have the exact rhythm in one voice of the track. This is going to help your students be much more accurate at home. They'll be able to tell whether they're on. And if they're really struggling to find out what the rhythm is, they can listen and get a clue from the actual music. All right, so what I want to do is demonstrate for you what these sound like. So I'm going to play an old track from Book 1. Only one measure of prep. Guess what? It repeats exactly the same way the second time. And just to throw variation, I did put a key change in there. Like I said, I was working with very primitive things, and it was definitely early on in the whole thing, and so it wasn't terribly musical. Here is the new track for the exact same page. 2 measures of prep. Now we actually have some movie sounding music. And then every line is different. There's 16 measures, and all of the lines are really fascinatingly different. So there's no big repetitions that just happen over and over again with a little variation between each of them. They're just so much better. So I'm going to play another one now. This is an old track from book 2 this time. So there are 2 measures of prep for this one, but you'll hear those repetition. This is not bad. Got an interesting drum. But guess what? Keeps doing the same thing over and over again. And guess what? There's a key change. That's about the only variation that I was able to get for that one. So let me show you the new track. Big sounding. Comes, ready? We're gonna build. And this rhythm that you're hearing, da, 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 that's exactly what the students are actually supposed to be tapping with their cups. And so it really makes it much more beautiful, but not only that, it helps the students to actually be more accurate. So we're going to try some of these together, but I want to show you real quick. There's always people here that have never seen Rhythm Cup Explorations before. So real quickly, I want to show you the anatomy of a page. So the first 2 lines of Rhythm Cup Explorations are always the same. The second line varies just a little bit at the end where there's this pass pick up feature. And so that's the only difference between the 2. Same thing for the 3rd and the 4th lines. They're exactly the same except for that pass pickup feature at the end, which we'll talk about how to do. So once they know that first line really well, then they can learn the second line, and you could do the first line twice. You could do the second line twice for a total of 16 measures, which would go with the music, or you can do the whole page without the repeats, which is really what the music is based on. Now, on the on the right-hand side of book 2, there's a key. We did not put a key on the right-hand side of book 1 because the cup tapping techniques were very basic. It's basically you tap the table, you tap the top of the cup. There's a couple other things that you can do. I think you can tap your forehead. But in book 2, we just expanded and added a whole bunch of new cup tapping techniques. So if you only have book 1, book 2 is definitely even better. It's just more, it's better, it fills in a whole bunch of gaps. And so this key on the side will give the students and you an idea of exactly what to do in case you forget. So real quick, I just want to explain this and then we're going to do it together. The normal cup position is upside down, held with your right hand. And so when you see the circle above a note, you're going to tap the table with your cup. If you see the X above the note, then you're going to tap the top of the cup. If you see a star, that just means to tap your forehead. All right, hold on one second. Got to get something here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm just going to tell you real quick how I would teach this to students. There's many different ways of doing this, so please don't think there's only one way. But if you're new to this, this is a great way to do it. So first, make sure that they know the symbols. So I would just teach them as I'm doing it. Don't just tell them a bunch of words, show them, and have them do it with you. So I would go like this, and I'm gonna prop myself or my cup up just a little bit so you can see it. Okay, so what I would do is we would go table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap. Do it with me if you can. Table, tap, tap. We'd go nice and slow. Table, table, table. And you can see that I'm pointing down every time I want them to do the table. That really helps, especially younger students. Now, if you're working with younger students or a big group of students, you might want to have them use their fist first, because sometimes doing it with cups means that they get fidgety with cups while they're trying to learn the rhythm. So in this case, I would have them use their fist first. Table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap, and they just pretend like their fist is a cup. So it makes it easier but less distracting. Practice that rhythm until it's solid. So they should be able to do that first line really easily until it's solid, and then you're going to hand out the cups. You'll practice with the cups before you put them with the tracks so that you're sure they actually know what the rhythm is. All right. When they know the first line, then you introduce the pass, pick up change in the second line. So I'm going to show you this. Got 3 cups here. I don't have anybody passing to me, so we're just pretending that these cups are coming from someone else. So if you look at that last line on the second, last measure of the second line, it goes like this. It goes table, pass. So that means you're going to pass it to the next person, and then you pick up what was passed to you. So I'm going to do it now 3 times in a row. So you go table, pass, pick up. Table, pass, pick up. Table, pass, pick up, like that. And then we would just go through that multiple times until they have that idea. So let's try this now with the new accompaniment tracks. So you can take a look at this first page. You can see it's all what? Quarter notes. So you're not going to have any trouble with that. The cup tapping, though, you'll just have to get used to. I think you'll do fine. All right. So we're going to do it with a fairly slow track. It's fast enough, though, because it's just quarter notes. So 1, ready, go. Table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap, table, table, table. Keep going. Table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap. Get ready for the pass pick. Ready? Table, pass, pick up. Table, tap, tap, table, tap, tap. Forehead tap, tap. Table, 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 tap. And get ready, table, pass, picked up. And you can see how the tracks just make it so much more delightful to do. It's just interesting the whole way through. Even though that was all quarter notes, it's very interesting music. Okay, let's look at the compound meter unit. This particular unit has a new cup tapping feature, and that is the table drag. And the way that you do that is you just hit the table with the cup, because that's what the circle means, and then you drag it slowly. Now, normally I would take more distance to drag it, but I'm dealing with a very small little platform, so I'm just going to drag it super slowly. So that first measure, if you want to do it with me, 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, go. Table, tap, tap, table, drag again. Table, tap, tap, table, drag again. Table, tap, tap, table, drag. That's how I would do it and practice those cup tapping features. That third measure would go table, tap, tap, forehead tap. Repeat. Table, tap, tap, forehead tap, tap. You get the idea from there. So just a couple of tips also. Like I just showed you, pick a measure and drill it 3 to 4 times, especially if they're not used to that particular cup tapping technique. And then if you're facing the student, use the opposite hands. So I don't know if you noticed it, but I said, make sure you hold the cup upside down in your right hand. But guess what? This is my left hand, right? So when you're facing a student, you want them to be an exact mirror of you, and that way you're always dragging the thing in the same way. And so that's just a tip, especially for young students, because they really need to see that facing or see that exact mirror of what they're supposed to be doing. So let's just try the 2 measures of this with the new tracks. You can hear how they sound. All right. Here we go. Make sure you have a pass pickup. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Table, tap, tap, table, drag. Table, tap, tap, table, drag. Table, tap, tap, forehead tap, tap, table, tap, table. Keep going. Table, drag, table tap, tap, table drag, tap, tap, forehead tap, tap, table, tap, pass, pick up, table tap, tap, table drag. And you could keep doing that where you repeat that. There's actually two more lines of music, of course, that you would do normally, but I didn't want to overwhelm you all with all of the things. And I also want to say, if you are new to rhythm cups and you find this hard, it's fine. Everybody finds it hard at first, and we're going exceptionally fast. I would not be going this fast with anyone who's new. So the nice thing is you can just take your time to learn it at home. Once you've learned 3 or 4 pages, you'll be very good at it, and I know you can get it. So one of the things that I love about the compound meter unit is that it takes some time to actually help the student experience a hemiola. So a hemiola is where you have a compound meter, which is normally divided into 3, and then suddenly you divide it into 2. So it's dum, dum, da, da, dum, 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 dum. And you really have to emphasize that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. Or else they don't actually feel it. It just ends up sounding like a whole bunch of eighth notes without any emphasis. So the nice thing about this is that the tracks actually depict that. And then the way that the cup tapping is composed, dun, 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 actually makes it sound like there's actually 3 beats instead of 2. Now, the new thing in this particular one is that there's a friend tap. And so what you want to do is have your cup in front of you, and then you've got a cup for a friend over on the right. So what you'll do is this is the second measure, you'll go tap, table, friend, table, tap. So try that with me. Table, tap, table, friend, table, tap. One more time. Table, tap, table, friend, table, tap. And that doesn't feel funny except when you finally put it in 6/8. So let's try the first 2 measures together. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's how you would do it. So again, this is very, very fast. So if that was troublesome, it's not because you're bad at hemiola. It's just because this is all brand new. So let's try it if you can. If nothing else, just give it a whirl. 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did you hear how that was emphasized? Hemiola. 2, 3, 4. Now repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so you get the idea. And then, of course, it keeps going. All right. Now, I just wanted to show you this one. If you are familiar with this page, somebody chimed in the first webinar. Yeah, this is fine. Somebody chimed in the first webinar and said, we love this page in our studio. It is challenging, and it's super fun because it's challenging. So I'm going to just do this one for you. Please feel free to try it with me. And I just want to show you just really how, even on a challenging one, the tracks are actually going to help the student get the right rhythm, because the tracks have the rhythm in it in a really, really musical way. So this one actually has the students start with their hands on the table and the cup in front of them. And so they go right, left, right, left, right, right, pick the cup up, tap top, tap bottom, tap top, put it down, right, left, right, left, right, picked up, and then top and top, bottom, down. Okay, so let's try this. This would be tracks 34 to 36. I'm going to do this in the middle track, so it's going to feel really fast probably for some people, but it's just a lot of fun. I love this. 3 and 4 and 2 and ready, go. Keeps going. It's got this great Latin rhythm and flavor to it. Anyway, just so much fun. Even on the challenging ones, they're just tons of fun. So what I want to show you right now is just to give you a sampler, a little bit more of the tracks. If you want to try to do some of the cup tapping, please by all means do so. But I thought it'd be easier if we actually did this instead of explaining each one. It'll go faster to do this. Track, and I wanted to do that on purpose just to show you the difference between the fast and the slow track. Helps the students to get that feeling of moving from eighths to triplets. Here's my personal favorite at a slow tempo. And then just so that you can see that we kept the challenge of playing fast, here's the same thing at a fast tempo. I had to insert the clapping at the end because it feels always a little weird at webinars to not see your faces and get any response. So that was for my benefit. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Lots and lots of different tracks. There were so many I could choose from to just give you a feeling of just the differences that it can make, and also just how varied the tracks really are. So one thing that you should know is that when we started to work on these, my original intent was to only bring these out as streaming tracks. My thought was, the streaming tracks are just a much better experience for teachers, certainly for students, because you don't have to mess with the tracks and they're really easy to use. They're all in one place. They're in your account. And so I thought this would be the way to do it. And then we got to discussing it and realized, there's just some reasons that people might want the downloadable tracks, especially, for example, if you teach in maybe a church basement and you don't have good internet access, or I know some teachers teach in the mountains and they don't have reliable internet access. And so we decided to go ahead and make these available in two different ways. So I really quickly just want to tell you about both ways so you can decide which one is best for you. What are the streaming tracks? Well, the streaming tracks are tracks that we make available to you on your Compose Create account in an organized, always at your fingertips way. They're always going to be there. All you have to do is log in and get them and play them, So you can play them from any device with internet access. You do have to have internet access, But you can play them from a phone. You can play them from an iPad. You can play them from a computer. Any place or anything that has internet access that you can log into with a browser, you can get to them. There's no downloading, no having to move them from one device to another device because you use your iPad over here and your desktop over here. You don't have to fumble to find the right track. I'm going to show you in a minute how it's laid out. It's very simple. We organize and stream and maintain them for you. And so it's just something you don't have to worry about. It's always at your fingertips. You can just log in at any time. And then you can easily move between pages, units, and books. So let me show you what it looks like. So when you get into the interface, this is what book 1 looks like, for example. You can see the place that you would play it. The tempos are clearly shown on every single track, so you know how fast they're going. You can see the unit cup color even, so you know you're in the right unit. And then you can toggle between units, navigate by units on the side. This is unit 1. Unit 2 has green cups. Unit 4 has red cups. And then once you're in these tracks, you have a whole new menu at the top. And so you can toggle between your Rhythm Cup Explorations tracks and your Menagerie tracks if you have those. And so it's just an easier, more streamlined way for us to keep it organized for you. The great thing, though, is that parents and students can afford these. These are not expensive at all. And so it's really an easy ask for parents and students, and you can definitely afford them too. It would hardly take any money per month. So I'll show you in just a minute what I mean by that. So what are the downloadable tracks? So the downloadable tracks mean that after you purchase them, we would deliver a zip file of MP3s to you. You download them. You unzip them from the zip file. You need to find the media player or the app that you want to put them in, and then you need to move them to that media player. And then you would have to do this for every single device that you have, which is fine if you're comfortable with that and if you don't mind that. And you've done it before or whatever, we know that some teachers really would rather have the downloadable tracks for that reason. And so that's what that involves if you purchase the downloadable tracks. So a couple things about parents and students to help with them. First of all, parents do get their own streaming accounts. They have their own account. When we first brought streaming tracks out, there were teachers concerned about this. And I just told teachers, you know what? These are parents that are either, they're probably Generation Y now, they're millennials. They can totally handle having a subscription and a streaming tracks account. So you just need to tell them where to get it and they will handle it. But I would encourage you to send them the parent page. The parent page is something that we created to help explain what the curriculum is, how it helps their child, why rhythm is fundamental and why they really need to practice this consistently at home, and that it encouraged the parents to buy the streaming tracks to practice at home so it can be more accurate. So this is a free resource that you can send to them, or you could print it off and hand it to them, and it tells them exactly what they need to do and where they need to get the streaming tracks. We also updated one of our blog posts to include some of this verbiage, but I always get a little bit of hesitation with some teachers that say, well, I can't possibly tell parents to buy another thing because they're already buying, their method book and they're buying this and they're paying a recital fee. I just can't possibly tell them to get another thing. Well, here's the thing. As a parent, I want to know what is going to help my child succeed. I am paying for piano lessons. So if you know something that will help my child succeed to be better at the most fundamental part of learning music, and that is learning rhythm. If you know something that's going to help my child succeed, I want you to tell me. As a matter of fact, I expect you to tell me because you're a professional. So just don't forget that you're the professional and just tell parents, I want you to buy these streaming tracks so Johnny can practice with them at home. They can greatly improve his rhythm. If they have a trouble with that, or if they don't want to do that, they'll tell you, and then you can deal with it as it goes. But I think most of the time, parents are grateful to get this kind of information from you so that they can help their child be more successful at home. So the link to the parent pages is in your follow-up email. So you'll get 2 emails from me. One has your professional development certificate along with a link to the parent pages, and then the other has an additional link to the parent pages as well as all of the links to all the the products and things like that. So if you want to get those, then you can definitely download those for free. And if you still can't find them, you can always send us an email and we will make sure you get it.